Chapter 5 Revelations 3 weeks passed as Herald continued to test Iada's blood. She said nothing as he examined her samples, her eyes closed to his. Herald patiently worked as Iada ignored him. The preliminary results of the tests were captivating to say the least. Herald had noticed that vampire blood was able to revert to stem cell form rapidly and as needed to perform almost any task at hand. It meant that a vampire would be able to constantly stay young and in a certain form indefinitely without aging. There was simply no cellular death occurring at all. However, to do this, the cells had to cannibalize two other cells, making the process costly to the total volume to blood cells in the body. Herald wanted to proceed to further testing, ergo, live foreign cells. Herald left Ida as she was sitting in her regular chair. He burst into Michelle's office. She was on the phone. Her voice was not normal. It was lighter and cheerful. "Yes, honey, I love you too." Michelle's voice raised at the end of the sentence. Herald stood in the archway with the door open next to him. Michelle noticed Herald. "I have to go." She slammed the phone down. "How much did you hear?" Her eyes were cold and deadly. She didn't want him to know why she was acting like she had. Herald didn't want to answer out of fear of losing his manhood. "I want to test these cells on mice." "That's not the answer I was looking for." Michelle stood up, angry. "I've come up with some real data about the vampire blood." Herald was interrupted. "You and every other couple on the lab floor, Herald. You didn't tell me what I wanted to know." Michelle wasn't searching for the results he was volunteering. "What did you hear?" "Will you give me permission to advance to animal trials?" Herald was bargaining. Michelle thought about it and was about to give Herald what he was hoping for. Herald felt a soft, cold hand behind his left shoulder. It was gently pushing him forward as the door suddenly closed to the office. The hand vanished as he turned. "You don't have the authority to make that decision, Michelle." It was Ada that was now standing to the left of Michelle. But Herald was halted. Ida's cold, thin finger pressed against Herald's lips with intention. "I wasn't going to allow him anything." Michelle backpedaled. "I'm sure," Ida released Herald's words. "I just wanted to proceed to animal testing. What's wrong with that?" Herald asked Iada. "Michelle, carry on." Iada took Herald's left arm. "We need to talk now." Ida hastily pulled Herald out of Michelle's office and into the hallway. She shut the door with force. She led him to Herald's room in the dorm hall. She sat him down on his bed and locked the door. "What did I say?" Herald didn't know what he did wrong. Ida crossed her arms behind her back and leaned against the door. She took a deep breath and began a labored sigh. Her purple eyes intense and piercing, she set them on Herald. "We need to clear something between us. It has to be taken care of right now, or this can't continue." Herald's throat became tight. "You can never test our blood on anyone." Ida lowered her eyes and returned them to Herald. "On anything without our express permission, do you understand?" "But I thought," Herald argued, "there is no contesting this, do you understand? This is an absolute condition whether you like it or not." Iada slowly walked up to Herald and placed her arms on his shoulders. Herald was getting tense. He wasn't sure what she meant by all this. Ada gently pressed down onto Herald's shoulders, giving a light massage to ease his nerves. Herald relaxed and understood that these were Ida's direct wishes. "Yes? Yes, what?" Ida suddenly stopped massaging. Herald raised his head. "Yes, I understand not to use your blood on animals or people." "Good." Ida smiled and resumed the gentle massage. "Ida," Herald said quietly. "Why?" Ida stopped and sat next to Herald on the edge of the bed. Her weight made no sound on the flimsy wood frame. "Let me ask you a few questions so that you may comprehend our reasons." She turned to him with a short breath. "How would you plan on caging this mouse?" "I don't see why that matters." Herald dismissed the importance of the question. "Humor me." Iada smiled. "In a mouse cage, of course." Herald answered. Then let me take you into the immediate future of that scenario. Ayada leaned back into Harold's bed. Her legs were hanging off the end. 3 days after the confusion of wondering if the mouse will live or die, the mouse will escape from the cage. Within 30 seconds, 9 researchers will die. In another minute, the mouse will have killed everyone on this floor. Another 10 and the building will be quiet. Outside of the hour, a pandemic will break out in the city. Ada crossed her arms behind her head. But I thought your kind had to give your own blood to make another vampire? Herald tried to use a bit of logic to defunct Ija's doomsday explanation. We do, but wouldn't you try swinging at a 4-inch rodent tearing out your jugular? Ida was building a point. Yes, but I thought a normal person wouldn't be able to slice the skin of a vampire. Herald wanted clarification. An old vampire, yes? A new one, no. Trust me. Someone would find a way to cut into that tiny inbred lab rat. All it takes is for one person to get the spray of the blood, and you would have a real human vampire in a few days. The outcome would be worse if the rat got into the sewer system and some random creature was lucky enough to kill it. Everything else feeding on that little beast would turn in 3 days. Iada sighed. Do you get it now? Yes, Harold admitted. Yes, what? Iada wanted more. Yes, you're right, Harold gave in. Ida sat up. Then the same would happen if you would try it with a Harold, suddenly felt the pressure of a cold hand on his chest. Ida pressed into Harold, stopping him from talking. It doesn't matter what form of life you use, it's the same awful result every time. It just gets worse with higher animals, that's all. The only reason why we aren't as dangerous is because we can be reasoned with. She let go of his chest. Each vampire is responsible for the blood of their kind forever. But what if you die? Harold asked. From what we're naturally everlasting, Ida said with confidence. Murder. Harold thought he had picked a good example. If someone were to kill me tonight, Ida paused, letting her words sink in. My murderer would be responsible for disposing of my body. Ah, ha, you said their own blood. Harold had gained a foothold. Ah, ha, no. I said the blood of their kind. That refers to all of us. Iada had trapped Harold well. What if you decide to commit suicide? Harold was getting bold. That implies preparation. The individual would need to prepare a death that eliminated the corpse. Ida had a solution for everything. What about accidental death? What do you do if you get hit by a bus or slip and fall off a cliff? Harold was grasping at straws. Are you listening to yourself? Since when have I displayed any sense of clumsiness? Ida stood back up. What about the bus? Harold stood as well. Ida moved to open the door. What about it? She walked through and into the hall. It's just a bus.